Well, I'd just like to welcome and thank everyone for joining the webinar. Before we get started, I would like to ask everyone to please mute yourself so we can best manage the background noise. My name is Donna Drews, and I'm a member of the Raritan Township Green Team. As our Green Team began our Sustainable Jersey recertification this year, we realized our community's long-term participation in the Raritan Headwaters Community Well Testing Program provided a great opportunity to earn points for our town. We reached out to Raritan Headwaters for guidance and technical experience, and we're amazed at the support they're able to provide. During tonight's webinar, you'll learn how to establish a community well testing program in your town and how to earn points towards your Sustainable Jersey certification in the process. The speakers will provide an overview of Raritan Headwaters Community Well Testing Program and the 2 Sustainable Jersey actions related to drinking water supply, private well outreach and testing, and removing lead in drinking water actions. Please note that this webinar is being recorded and the presentation will be available on the Raritan Headwaters website for future viewing. We will have lots of time at the end of the presentation for questions. Please feel free to post your questions in the Q&A section throughout the presentation. You will also be able to raise your hand under the webinar controls when we open up the question and answer period. Once you raise your hand, we'll unmute you, and you'll need to unmute yourself as well, probably, to ask your question. I'm now pleased to introduce our speakers from Raritan Headwaters. We have Samantha LaRocca. Samantha joined Raritan Headwaters in 2022 as the well testing program manager and is responsible in part for coordinating the distribution and collection of the well test kits to residents who are interested in testing their drinking water. She holds a Bachelor's of Arts in Sociology and a minor in Environmental Health from Westchester University, and interned at Save Barnegat Bay during her college career. After graduating, Samantha served 2 terms as the AmeriCorps New Jersey Watershed Ambassador for the Monmouth Watersheds, where she gained experience in water quality, event planning, and environmental education. Samantha enjoys spending her free time exploring the outdoors of New Jersey and crocheting items for her loved ones. Also, we're really fortunate to have Mara Trippett. Mara joined Raritan Headwaters 8 years ago as an AmeriCorps New Jersey Watershed Ambassador for the North and South Branch of the Raritan Watershed. She later became Raritan Headwaters Watershed Specialist, focusing on groundwater resources, and managed the Community Well Test Program. Mara now serves as the Associate Director and oversees the organization's land preservation and municipal outreach initiatives. She is a member of the New Jersey Lead Task Force, the New Jersey Forest Task Force, the New Jersey Private Well Consortium, and is the Vice Chair of the Highlands Coalition Policy Committee. Mara lives in Kingwood Township, where she's raising 3 children and actively volunteering in her community. She is the Vice Chair of Environmental Commission and the head of her Green Team. Mara holds a BA in Biology from the City University of New York, Hunter College, and a master's degree in Environmental Science and Policy from Johns Hopkins University. I'd like to thank them both for putting together this great webinar this evening, and I'll turn it over to our speakers.
Thank you so much, Donna, for the lovely introduction, and to the Raritan Green Team for inviting us to present tonight. And welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. We hope that the information provided will serve as a useful overview of private well and lead testing initiatives, and how you can go about documenting the work that you're doing in your community for your Sustainable Jersey certification. I'm going to stop my video so you can see my whole screen. Okay. Right. Great. So briefly, just a bit about Raritan Headwaters. RHA is a nonprofit watershed conservation organization that has been working for over 60 years to protect clean water for the residents who live here, as well as those downstream and throughout the state who rely on the water that we protect. Through science and stewardship, including our stream monitoring and well testing programs, annual watershed-wide stream cleanup, which we just had, education and advocacy. We protect the water in our rivers and our streams and in our homes. And you can learn more about the work that we do and explore the many resources we have available on our website at raritanheadwaters.org. This Watershed Tools for Local Leaders webinar, like others in this series, is intended to support municipal officials and residents who are in a position to educate others and make decisions that impact residents in their towns. We hope that these webinars aid in the understanding of complicated science and regulations, and that we can act as a trusted resource and partner to successfully navigate and take action to support the health of our watershed and the people who live here. And these seminars, we share information on key science, planning, and regulatory tools, and explore opportunities to partner on projects to identify, protect, and restore water resources. And you can view our archive of past presentations on our website, along with the recording of this session once we're done this evening. So if you're joining us this evening, you are no doubt familiar or currently working with Sustainable Jersey. Their mission is to empower New Jersey communities with the tools, training, and financial incentives necessary to pursue critical sustainability initiatives in municipalities and in school districts. Sustainable Jersey certification is awarded to municipalities and schools that have documented meeting a set of rigorous standards in completing actions to reduce waste, cut greenhouse gas emissions, protect water resources, and improve public health outcomes. The action descriptions outline steps for completion, certification points, resources, and municipal spotlights to see what others are doing. Many actions have variable points, which means that there are several ways to complete the action based on the work done. And in March of 2020, 2 new actions were added to the program to increase public education about the safety of drinking water and further assist residents in proactively testing their drinking water to reduce exposure to harmful contamination. So the private well outreach and testing action promotes regular well water testing and sharing information with the community on known areas of well contamination and corrective actions to reduce or eliminate contaminants. The purpose of the Removing Lead in Drinking Water action is to encourage municipalities to reduce their residents' exposure to lead, specifically through awareness, education, and remediation. And both of these actions can count toward gold stars in water and health. And we'll provide a brief background on the importance of these actions, available resources to complete them, and how to document them for your certification. So let's start with just a brief overview of private wells. We see groundwater when it flows from our faucets. Otherwise, it remains invisible to us, sometimes hundreds of feet underground. But in the North and South Branch Raritan watershed, 4 out of 5 residents rely on groundwater from private wells every day for drinking, cooking, and bathing. And there are currently no federal regulations that protect private well owners from drinking unsafe water. It's really up to each individual homeowner to maintain their well and monitor water quality. Before 2002, New Jersey regulations applied only to newly constructed wells, but then the New Jersey Private Well Testing Act was established, and that now mandates that sellers or buyers of property with potable wells in New Jersey test the untreated groundwater for a variety of water quality parameters, and then review the test results prior to closing of title. Landlords are also required to test their well water once every 5 years and provide each tenant with a copy of the test results. So this is important, and many people don't realize that this is also part of that act and a requirement in New Jersey. The test data is submitted electronically by the test lab to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for retention and for notifying Health Department of water quality issues, and also a statewide analysis of groundwater quality. There's no required action to remediate if contamination is found under the PWTA law, and the new well owner may never test again leaving them vulnerable to the health impacts of novel sources or causes of contamination, such as flooding, nearby spills, failing septic systems, stormwater runoff, or emerging contaminants of concern. So most of us live downhill or downgrade from somewhere or someone, and depending on where we are, here are just some of the factors that can contribute to groundwater contamination. And while some groundwater contaminants are naturally occurring, like arsenic or radionuclides, like uranium and radium, others are the result of human activity. Some parts of our watershed are more urban, others more rural. We live in the most highly populated state, densely populated state in the nation, and our water quality is affected by all the things we do here in New Jersey, including actions on a personal level, at a community level, and how we manage our resources at a state and federal level. And surface water and groundwater are in just constant dynamic flux. And those things that affect our streams also affect our groundwater and therefore our drinking water. Testing is extremely important to determine if any of these sources are impacting the safety of your well water. From here, I'm going to pass it to Samantha, and she's going to give you an overview of the RHA well testing program, a program that many of you are quite familiar with as you've been partnering with us for a number of years.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Mara. Yeah, so essentially to ensure a safe supply of water, water monitoring should be done every year, not just when you're moving in or out of your home. That's why local safe drinking water testing programs are so important and are so essential as a public health service. In this slide, you'll see some photos of RHA's community well test program in action, helping residents test to protect their family's health. So how do you plan and organize a well testing event? Each municipality is unique in how they organize an event and conduct outreach. It's not a one-size-fits-all program. Each town is different depending on capacity, expected turnout, etc. But typically an event is held each year in the community, either in the spring or fall. We work with the town to choose dates, advertise the event in local newspapers, social media, and onward. On event day, a table is set up at a convenient public location to allow for conversations and for test kit pickup. And then the residents fill their bottles, guided by the instructions provided, and they return their samples on a designated morning. Results are then emailed to these residents within a couple of weeks, along with information on treatment options if necessary, and any follow-up testing that may be arranged through one of our offices located in either Flemington or Bedminster. And we extend the discounted rate that we get from our state certified lab to residents, making the process a really convenient and affordable one. All results are confidential, but we're able to provide reports to our municipal partners so that they can better educate the residents on contaminants of concern within the area. The program has expanded and now serves to monitor about 1,500 wells annually throughout the watershed and beyond. We have results from every municipality through both our community well test program events and our individual well testing program that's available to anyone year-round through our offices. The program is really successful thanks to a strong partnership between RHA, Garden State Laboratory, and our municipal partners. The municipal partnerships that we create are extremely important. Surveys conducted during these test events show that 88% of participants heard about the program through a township-generated communication. 64% tested through RHA out of convenience, which was made possible by our presence at a nearby location within their community during these annual well test events. And the community well test program really has many roles. Certainly it plays a role in public health. And I like to think of our participants kind of as citizen scientists as they're collecting scientific data on the composition of our groundwater. And I hope that in return, participants are educated regarding local impacts on water quality from things like stormwater, flooding, and land use. And that hopefully this will subsequently translate into improved management of our water resources. So what are we testing for? We have a full menu of options, but at a minimum, residents should test annually for bacteria and nitrates, which are basic water quality indicators. Their presence in drinking water indicates that pathogens or other contaminants could be in the water and may even help to identify a structural issue with the well. We also test for metals that occur naturally in the geology of our region, things like arsenic, iron and manganese, and naturally occurring radiologicals like uranium and radium, as well as radon and water. We also offer testing for lead, which often originates from older plumbing, and we offer this for both well users and public water users. And this program can be used to fulfill the requirements for the Removing Lead in Drinking Water action, which we'll discuss a little bit later on in this presentation. And we can also offer testing for contaminants that come from human sources or man-made sources, such as PFAS and volatile organic compounds. Most common contaminants, such as arsenic and lead, are colorless, odorless, and tasteless. So the only way that we know that they're there is to test for them. And once you know that they're there, you can treat then accordingly. So the well test program was established back in 1974 in response to the implementation of the Safe Drinking Water Act and protections for public water users. So we now work with communities throughout the watershed to help residents on private wells monitor their drinking water quality, and we're very excited to see drinking water actions being established under the Sustainable Jersey program. And now Mara is going to discuss these important actions and how you can document your efforts for a Sustainable Jersey certification.
Awesome. Thank you, Samantha. Okay. The private well outreach and testing action provides guidance for municipalities interested in increasing public education about the safety of drinking well water and how to further assist residents in proactively testing their water. By promoting regular well water testing and sharing information with the community on known areas of well contamination and the corrective actions to reduce or eliminate contaminants, the Green Team can help reduce the risks to residents caused by drinking unhealthy water. Many communities are already eligible for these points, but have not yet submitted the action or been approved, and we're here to help you with that. So we're going to go through some of the requirements for this action. And I've listed here the municipalities that I pulled from the Sustainable Jersey website, those that have already completed this action and documented it, and then listed out some other municipalities that we work with each year that would be eligible for these points. So basically, it's just documenting what you've already been doing. Okay, so let's start with Tier 1 under this action for 10 points. Several maps were created by the NJDEP to summarize the Private Well Testing Act data, and that's all that data that's collected when a home is sold and the well is required to be tested. So these maps are intended to provide information to homeowners about potential risks, and you can visit the link shown here and explore on your own. You can just type in your address to see the prevalence of contaminants within the 2 square mile area around your house. And the grid format that this map is presented in protects the privacy of individual homeowners. But the map also provides a summary for each municipality. That's with the exception of lead, even though it's a requirement under the Private Well Testing Act. And the data from this map is incorporated actually into the annual report that your community receives from RHA that documents your community well testing event, but you may also access it directly here. And then you'll see the tabs across the top of the map. I don't know if you can see my cursor, but these maps open specific maps specific to the contaminant indicated if you'd like to see data on each one. So I encourage you to explore it. It's a great resource. If you'd like to explore water quality data in your town even further, there are a number of resources available online in the form of interactive maps. And RHA has actually recently released a map showing data collected through our well testing program. And it's a similar format, it's a grid, and again, it's to protect individual residents' privacy. But you can visit our well testing page at raritanheadwaters.org for access to this map. And this includes resources and information on specific contaminants, including health impacts and treatment options. that also may be incorporated into your report or shared on your municipal website. And that's also one of the requirements of this action, is to be able to post information on contaminants of concern for your community. So also from our website, our well testing page, if you scroll down below that map, you can click on the different accordion menu options. Another way to access this is to go to the short URL, which is testmywell.org. And so if you click on each one of those, you'll find fact sheets and additional resources that can also be shared on your municipal website. So please feel free. We won't be offended. We want you to share this information. Okay, so next we'll take a look at the tier 2 for an additional 5 points for your certification, implementing a well testing event or program for the community. Alas, most of you are already doing this. So again, it's documenting the work that you're already doing. And so as I mentioned, you'll receive an annual report from RHA that may be included with your Sustainable Jersey documentation. So you just include a brief write-up on your outreach methods, and then share the flyer or the social media post of the event. In the upcoming slides, I'm going to show you what a typical annual report looks like that we send out after a community well test event. And I'll kind of go through a couple of the elements included. But here on this slide, it describes the requirements of that tier 2. So you want to upload a summary of the well testing public event or program. Again, that's included in your annual report, but you want to include the role of the hosts of the event. So maybe talk about some of the volunteers you had from your green team or environmental commission who participated in hosting the event or conducted some of the community outreach. Your report will include the number of participants. Your report will also include some data on water quality. Here is an example in the lower left of a Facebook post from East Amwell Township's community well test event, and then a flyer for the Raritan Township Community Day event where we had our well testing offered through Community Day in Raritan Township. So as Samantha mentioned, there are a number of ways to put on this program, depending on the municipality's capacity and the resources available, maybe some other events that you're having in town that you can use to promote well testing events. And so we're happy to work with you to find to figure out a program that works for you. So let's take a look at, I know the font is small, so I basically just copied. This is a Word doc typically that we'll send you, and you can post this whole report on your website, your municipal website, and you can also share this report with Sustainable Jersey for documentation. So it'll go through some of the details of the event, when it was held, where it was held, number of volunteers, how you conducted your community outreach. And then the report will also include a snapshot of the well water quality data that was collected during that event. So the number of wells tested for each one of the contaminants, a range of the results, it'll include the limit or maximum contaminant level for that particular contaminant, the number of wells that have exceeded that limit, and then a percentage. And then we'll also include a snapshot of the data that we pull off of the Private Well Testing Act website, so the summary data for your municipality. So it checks that box as well. Also a snapshot, just an image of the Private Well Testing Act map there, and then just highlighting some of the particular contaminants of concern discovered during that event. And then we always want to include pictures, right? Pictures of volunteers meeting with residents. This is the Reddington Township event here. So during COVID, we had events set up as drive-throughs so that we continue to offer this service safely outdoors. So that's what these images are here. And then when we send you the report, you're more than welcome to edit it, add information, and tailor it as you see fit. Okay, so we're going to switch gears and focus on the lead issue in particular. And why is this action important? So lead is a cumulative toxicant that affects multiple body systems and is particularly harmful to young children and brain development specifically. The lead ban took effect in 1986, and this was an amendment to the Safe Drinking Water Act. This limited the allowable lead content in plumbing materials, but even up until 2014, there was an 8% allowable level. So this is plated brass faucets, fixtures, well pump components. Older solder may also leach significant amounts of lead into the water supply, so it can come from a number of different sources. We also highly recommend this test for public water users in addition to private well water users, particularly if they live in an older home built before 1987, so before that lead ban took effect. The service lines from the main line into the home, as well as the interior plumbing, may contain lead. The public water purveyor is not going out to each individual home to test the lead content. They're testing the water on its way out and a couple of points within the system, but certainly not every home. So it's really up to individual homeowners to do that testing on their own. No level of lead is considered safe, so the maximum contaminant level goal for lead is 0. Lead is detected in over half of the homes we test each year, and 10 to 15% of the homes we test have levels over 5 parts per billion, which is the maximum allowed in bottled water. The maximum allowed in public water supplies is actually 15 parts per billion, but this is considered by many health professionals as to not be protective enough. And we may see an amendment to that maximum contaminant level coming down the pike. The only way to know if lead levels are high is to test, which is why it's important to educate people about the risks of lead exposure and to make access to testing easier for residents. So let's take a look at the requirements to complete Tier 1 for the removing lead in drinking water action. This action, when you go into your Sustainable Jersey dashboard, it's listed under health and wellness, but please be aware that there is a separate and different action under the diversity and equity category called lead education and outreach, as well as 4 more actions under the lead and healthy homes category that promote efforts to address lead exposure. But this action is specific to drinking water. So just keep that in mind because it can be a little bit confusing. So step 1 is education, right? So education is a required component and very important for this action. So you can distribute printed materials addressing lead in drinking water to residents, such as during well test events. It's a great opportunity to do that. You can develop a web page on lead in drinking water and host it on your municipal website. We actually, on the Raritan Headwaters page, we've developed a lead in drinking water toolkit that you can certainly share on your municipal web page, and that does qualify for points as well. So guide residents to this information, and that should be sufficient as long as you're getting the word out there that you do in fact have it on your website. You can table at a town event to distribute information on lead in drinking water. So this again could be during the community well test event or a community day, or if you're having a green fair. There are some great fact sheets available. This one I have an image of here is from the New Jersey Department of Health. It's a great fact sheet that describes sources and treatment options. And then once you've gotten the word out and you've done some education on lead, the Tier 1 under this action for 10 points is to establish a voluntary testing program to assist residents in determining if there's lead in their drinking water. And sure enough, if you're already having a community well testing event and you are promoting lead testing to residents, that certainly qualifies. You could also have a standalone event, and we've had those as well in communities that are largely served by public water. We've done lead testing events in those communities. this certainly is an easy one to tackle if you're already involved with community well testing, but you can use the same kind of guidelines and processes for hosting a community well testing event as for one of these lead specific events. Tiers 2 and 3 involve adopting ordinances that require lead testing for drinking water before a change of ownership. You're already doing that under the Private Well Testing Act if you have a private well, but not if you're on public water. And then the tier 3 would be an ordinance with the addition of requiring remediation if a lead issue is discovered. Okay. So, as I said, many communities are eligible for points that have not yet submitted the action or been approved. So far, there's only one municipality that has successfully completed this action, and that's Reddington Township. They were also recently awarded the Gold Star in water last year. So kudos to Reddington. I've just included a snapshot here with their Sustainable Jersey submission. They included a list of links, and this is just a partial list of the links that they submitted, but this is information that they shared on their municipal website. So New Jersey American Water has some information on lead that can be shared, as well as, again, the lead toolkit we have on the Raritan Headwaters website. And lastly, Sustainable Jersey makes it really easy to see what other communities have done to complete these actions. And you may all be aware of this, but you can filter the map by action and view each town's reports. So you can see what they've submitted for points for these actions and get an idea of some things that you can include in your own documentation. And of course, please get in touch with us if you need assistance in organizing an event or conducting outreach or documenting your actions towards your certification. Okay, so yeah, with that, I'll say thank you so much. These resources and more are being added to our municipal toolkit on our webpage. And we look forward to hosting a number of watershed tools for local leaders, webinars, and workshops in the near future. So visit our website at raritanheadwaters.org and be on the lookout for invitations to future events. And here's our contact information. Please reach out at any time. We're here to help our communities, assist residents, and